Sometimes it's hard to find the like-minded people you want to connect with on life's journey. People who are not only interested in fertility, but also spiritually minded and curious about spiritual connections to life experiences. I'm Dr. Maria Rothenberger, and I created the Miracles Happen community for just this purpose. Come join us in mind, body, and soul speak for your most fertile life. Best of all, it's completely off social media and 100% free. Find us and sign up at www.miracleshappencommunity.com. Welcome to the Miracles Happen Fertility Podcast, where science and spirit are the focus of creating your most fertile life. You'll find a beautiful balance of grounded science-based topics as well as spiritual talk, and how they are both important for moving toward optimal fertility. Empower yourself along with me. I'm your host, Dr. Maria Rothenberger, a fellow fertility friend, therapist, coach, best-selling author, and spirit baby intuitive. Let's get started. Hi, welcome to the Miracles Happen Fertility Podcast. This is episode 163, and a question came in from Caitlin, who asks about the connection between mind, body, and spirit, meaning when there is a health challenge, as she and her family have been experiencing. Actually, her whole family, besides one, has been dealing with some health challenges. She's asking she says, I would love to hear a podcast or your thoughts on the connection between physical, emotional, and spiritual well-being. So we're going to be talking about that today. And just acknowledging that the commercial at the beginning of this podcast is about the Miracles Happen community, which is totally free and packed with information around spiritual, physical, emotional stuff, all related to baby making, bringing babies into your life, and not just focused on physical fertility, but also the expansion of fertility into other areas of your life. I like to say having a fertile soul or a fertile life, because all of the skills that I teach are just useful for the rest of your life. And that's what we'll be actually talking about today. Now, of course, this podcast is totally fertility focused, right? But fertility at its core, at its essence, is about creation, making new stuff, making new things, and being emotionally stable. We're actually going to be talking about that today in terms of second chakra stuff, which is about creativity, fertility. Although I have heard that the first chakra, I was doing some other training on clairvoyance, and that teaching talks about the first chakra being related to fertility. So I don't know. It's interesting. And this is another thing that I talk about, total side note, and I'm just a little bit tangential right now when I say it is really important for you to be discerning. So all of the things that you hear from myself, even from the internet, from your friend around the corner or whatever, always sense inside what makes sense to you, what feels right to you. Always about your own internal discernment. Okay, so as I said, that was tangential, but coming back to what's happening at the Miracles Happen Fertility Center. So the Miracles Happen community is now open. You can go to www.miracleshappencommunity.com. Sometimes I have found that link, for whatever reason, doesn't pop up on some browsers. So try miracleshappencommunity.com/feed, FEED, which is actually a lovely word. I know it means RSS feed, but feed reminds me of that story of the two wolves, right? Do you remember this story? I've talked about this a lot of times on this podcast, and just briefly, there's a story about a Cherokee young man who asks his grandfather about about life. And the grandfather talks about within each of us are two wolves. One is the, good wolf, and the other one is the bad wolf. I don't love those words, but light wolf or dark wolf. And he talks about both of those wolves fighting with each other. And the Cherokee young man says, well, which one wins? And the grandfather says, whichever you feed. And so I like the word feed. Long story short, I like the word feed. So anyway, check that one out, miracleshappencommunity.com/feed. Okay, Caitlin, we're going to get to your question here. Let's talk about this connection between mind, body, and spirit, especially when it comes to physical representations of wellness or health, right? Because unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, maybe we're leading to somewhere else. And I think we are in this planet. We are starting to recognize that there are other things besides this reductionistic materialism that, we notice that if I am touching right now my microphone or tapping on it, this microphone is real. It exists. It is in front of me. I am speaking into it. If you hear the sound waves of my voice, it is real. It is happening. It is measurable, right? But I think that we are coming to an understanding that everything is energy. And I'm so excited for this. And I know that I have barely touched the tip of the iceberg on this myself. And I just keep falling down that rabbit hole, learning more and more shit. And I just pass it on to you. So you're welcome. What we were talking about today, the email that came in was actually, again, from Caitlin, who has been having, she and her family have been having some health challenges, and she's curious about the connection between spirit, emotions, and body, and how things are manifest physically, and how it's all connected. So let's talk about that. And that's my dog, Prince. Say hello, Prince. I call him Bubbies. Someone is daring to walk in front of our house right now. Oh my gosh. Curse them. Anyway, so one of my favorite resources, and I know that I've talked about this book before, is Anatomy of the Spirit by Dr. Carolyn Myss. It is so beautiful because it's totally me. It's like this combination of science meets spirit. She is a medical intuitive. And she's a speaker around the world now. She talks all about medical intuition. This is not where she started. She's a very sciencey, evidence-based person. And so to have this fall into her lap really has been amazing for her. But I'd like to resource this book because it has just so many answers around how to make this connection, how to draw this connection between spirit, emotions, and the physical body. I believe that I talked to her at length in the Chakra series that I did. So head back. I don't know exactly which episodes those were, but I did a whole series on the chakra system. So I believe I referenced her quite a bit in that series. But I flipped open her book this time to do a little bit of research before this podcast episode, and I flipped to chapter 1, Energy, Medicine, and Intuition. And I just want you to hear what she writes in this very first paragraph. I'm like, oh shit, I totally could have wrote that. That's amazing. So she says, I disappoint some people when I discuss intuition because I firmly believe that intuition or symbolic sight is not a gift, but a skill based in self-esteem. Developing this skill and a healthy sense of self becomes easier when you can think in the words, concepts, and principles of energy medicine. Okay, there's more there that I never would have said that. She's just way more brilliant than I am. But the part where I believe that intuition is a skill, it's not a gift, quote unquote. I firmly believe that. This is why I do Spirit Baby Foundations training, because folks who really want to be able to learn some skills to connect with Spirit Baby realm on their own, whether it's for themselves or somebody else, this is a skill that you can absolutely develop. I believe that we all have psychic awareness, we all have intuition, and we are simply educated out of it because it's not this materialistic, reductionistic point of view, which is perfectly fine. It's just not everything. It doesn't explain everything. So first of all, the way that I see how energy and emotions and biology are all connected is that they're all energy. Even if you move down. Let's just take your physical body. Okay. Let's just, I'm looking at the tip of my finger right now, the tip of my index finger. If I were to peer down all the way down into my index finger, into the bone, into each individual cell, into each individual atom, and then break that apart, the nucleus of the atom, deeper than that, there are particles that are just energy. And they're even moving in and out of being visual. You know, people say, where do they go? Where do those particles go? Where do those electrons go? They like disappear somehow and then reappear on the other side of this orbit around the atom's nucleus. Like, how does that happen? Everything is energy. And so I believe that physical issues start first in the energy field. And the energy field, by the way, the energy field around us, in other words, the aura, is actually measurable. It's been measured up to about 3 feet outside of the body. So if you just spread your arms out wide, that's about the tip of the aura that's been measured with tools, you know, that can measure energy, the electromagnetic field outside of the body. The HeartMath Institute does hypothesize that the energy field gets bigger than that, and that it's flexible. You can pull it in or push it out, but measurable right now with the tools that we have looks to be about 3 feet outside of the body, and it's all around. So up above you, down below you, into the earth. That is your energy field. It is amazing that it is measurable as it is. And there is a tool. Oh my gosh, I've lost the name of it. I will probably find this or wake up at 3 a.m. Tomorrow morning thinking about the name of this tool, but there is a tool that can actually measure the chakras and tell you what's out of alignment. And you do these practices to bring the chakras back into alignment and then take the measurement again. It's absolutely amazing. I like to use a pendulum and crystals. That's my tool preference, but there are so many other tools that are useful. And again, I'm going down a tangential rabbit hole. So let me just refocus back on what the connection is between mind, body, and spirit. I believe that all physical manifestations, all physical illnesses, or physical, amazing, beautiful things start in the energetic field. I just talked about manifesting recently, where I had to cancel a hair appointment, and I manifested her having a cancellation pop up at just the right time and day. And it did. That's like a positive thing that I would say, well, that started in my energy field. When there are physical issues, it starts in the energy field. And the message that's coming through from Carolyn Mace's work is that there is some ownership that we have in our energy field. Now, I believe that that's not everything. I do believe that we take on energies from elsewhere. I suppose there is choice in that, and we can choose to cleanse our energy systems, but it's not as simplistic as, oh, my energy system is tuned to how I think and feel. Therefore, anything that is made manifest in my body is a product of that process. Yes, I think that that's a thing, but there are also it's more complicated than that. Let me just say what her principles are. She calls these principles for noticing the connection between physical, spiritual, and emotional well-being. Her principle number 1, I'm flipping to that now. Where are you, principle 1? And again, her book is Anatomy of the Spirit, Carolyn Mace, MYSS. Oh, I just skipped right to the 3rd principle. Here's the 1st principle. I love this principle. Biography becomes biology. I've also heard this from Dr. Joe Dispenza. Your biography becomes your biology. What does that mean? Well, your biography is the way that you live your life, right? Your history, the things that have happened to you, the people that have interacted in your life, the choices that you have made, that's all energy too, right? So like when I was, 14 and I decided to steal my sister's sandals because I wanted to wear them for the day. That is my biography. The emotions that I have, the feelings that I have around that are part of my biography. Did I just say biology? I don't know if I just said biology. What I meant is biography. That is all part of my biography. Now, what happens is that if you think about that, your biography is all energy that is in your energetic field. That all funnels down into your biography, your biological system. Literally, when you have a thought, a memory, a emotion, okay, those things, yes, they're not something that you can see, nor are they tangible. You can't touch them, but they create tangible reality. They create chemistry in your body. So if you have the thought, here's a very common thought in the fertility world. What if I'm never a parent? What if I'm never, let's just take a female in this instance. What if I'm never a mom? Think right now, not think, actually, let me say something different. What does that feel like in your body? I'm going to say that phrase again, and I want you to pay attention to what happens in your body. What if I'm never a mom? Somewhere in your body, there is a sensation, there is a reaction, because there is chemistry being created in your brain and other various glands that match what if I'm never a mom. Then what happens? That chemistry is carried through the rest of the body. Your cells receive that information. It is tangible, measurable chemistry, but it's still loaded with information. Your cells receive that information and then make the requisite changes if changes are needed. So, and Dr. Mace talks about a neuroscientist who proved that neuropeptides, that's what this chemistry is called, are the result of thoughts and feelings, thoughts and emotions, pardon me. Feelings are like physical sensations. Emotions are those non-tangible things that create chemistry. These neuropeptides are proven to exist and move through the body and influence the cells that have the receptors on them to receive those neuropeptides. This is evidentiary. If you want your science stuff, that is proven. And also Dr. Bruce Lipton, the Biology of Belief. Beautiful book for learning more about this if you want to get into the nerdy science of it. He's also all over YouTube. You can watch his stuff. I actually pass those videos on all the time because I'm a little nerdy like that. So that's the first principle, that your biography becomes your biology. Side note, what about past life shit? Because that's also part of your biography, right? Literally, people have had past life experiences where they recognized an injury or even a death that happened in that past life, and they have a physical representation of that on their body. I actually have a birthmark on my left forearm, and I wonder if that's connected to a past life, like an injury or a death that I experienced from that. I don't know. It's fascinating stuff. But that too becomes part of your biography. And that's why past life therapy is so useful, because you release blocks, you release physical issues. Some people have claimed serious healing from past life regression when other forms of therapy have not been useful at all. It's amazing stuff. Amazing. So that's just the first thing to know, that your biography becomes your biology. What you think, what emotions you have become your biology. The second principle, let's get to that. Pardon me while I flip over. Second principle, personal power is necessary for health. Wow. I'm just going to say that again. Personal power is necessary for health. I just want you to think about this. What happens in the fertility world when you think you have it all figured out, right? Okay, I've done all the things. I've looked at my fertile signs, my fertility signs. We had sex in our fertile window. Great, this should work. I stopped taking birth control. Should work immediately. Oh, I just got my period. And that happens 5 times, 10 times, 12 times. A year has gone by now. 36 times. We're now 3 years past when I thought I had shit under control. When I thought I knew the plan. When I thought I knew exactly what to do. Therefore, I would get exactly the end result that I wanted. What happens when you realize it's not working? Complete and utter disempowerment. What happens after that? Dr. Google. My friends who have been through this, my family doctor, a fertility specialist, my acupuncturist, my therapist. You turn to everybody else and neglect yourself because you don't trust yourself anymore. You are disempowered. No personal power there. Obviously, here's the internal dialogue that might happen. Obviously, I thought I knew what the plan was and what the answer was in the plan, but I don't. I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't know what to do now. Therefore, I need to give my power away. I need to lean on everybody else to tell me what to do. Meanwhile, everybody else is telling you 10,000 ways to get pregnant and stay pregnant. And you do all those 10,000 things, and none of them work. It's complete and utter disempowerment. I just got an email today, actually, from somebody else, because I put out, oh, by the way, I should mention this. I put out on my newsletter that I am creating a crystal healing box for my new adventures into crystal healing. And if you have a healing request, please email it to me and I will add you to my crystal healing box. So I got an email today from somebody who says she believes that she has a hormonal imbalance. Even though everybody else is telling her, no, that's not what's happening, or she's heard that that's not what's happening, she feels it inside and she's asking for a healing on that. Yes, that is a perfect example of personal empowerment. So she knows what it needs to happen inside, and then she seeks the help. Then she seeks somebody else who can help her with that. Just in the regular physical world, the physical plane, if you are going for fertility treatments and you know that you need to have a test for something and your doc's like, no, that's not normal protocol. We don't even know if insurance is going to cover that, blah, 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 blah. But you know that you need that test because you have a feeling that you have endometriosis or whatever. Please insist, use your personal empowerment. That starts on an energetic level. I am empowered. I know what to do. I trust myself. That is personal power. It is absolutely 100% necessary for physical health, spiritual health, and emotional health. Absolutely. Okay. Principle number 3 from Dr. Carolyn Mace. You alone can help yourself heal. This is sort of piggybacking on what I just said, that you absolutely have the resources within you to heal yourself. That doesn't mean that you don't need to or that you can't pull in other resources, right? But that is for when you need some energetic or some physical component or even some emotional wellness component, like from a therapist, ways to think about things differently, etc., that you don't already know about. Here's the cool thing. When you pull in other resources and other folks who may know some more stuff than you do, you get to discern what makes sense for you and what does not. As I always say, take what resonates and leave the rest. Even what I say, take what resonates and discard the rest lovingly. It's completely okay. You need to resonate with what's coming through. This is why the third principle is you alone can help yourself heal. I'm going to paraphrase too, or summarize what Dr. May says here, which I think is absolutely lovely and beautiful. She says, healing is different than curing. Okay, so you can go to a physician who, quote, cures your infertility or fertility issues, I prefer to say. But that does not change the energetic component of fertility issues. You still have that energy in your system, in your aura, in your chakra system. So the likelihood of those struggles coming back are pretty high until you start changing the energetic components of those physical manifestations. I hope that makes sense. So this is, in my opinion, okay, personal story here. I was diagnosed with endometriosis back when there weren't like blood tests and things that you can take. There are now, but they had to actually physically go in to check for endometriosis. And I was diagnosed with stage 2 endo. I was told, dun, 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 this is incurable. You'll have endo for the rest of your life. Ah. Lots of people still believe this. And when I created an opinion, this was a public opinion online somewhere, that I did not believe that I was absolutely going to create an energetic change for my endometriosis, I got so much fucking backlash. People were pissed at me. You might be pissed at me right now for saying this. Oh, so you're saying my endo is my fault? You're saying that I created this? No, I am not saying that. What I am saying is that there is an energetic component that you have the power to switch. You have the power to heal. So they exercised these lesions. They removed scar tissue. They did all these things to remove the endometriosis from my body, but I still had this energetic component that created endo all over again. It was not until I changed energetically, which is written about in Transcending Infertility, available on Amazon, #1 bestseller, go get it. When I changed the energetic components that were related to this endometriosis, my endo's gone. We adopted our son 10 years ago in May, and it is now almost October. So I have not had an endo symptom since. The conventional medicine community would be completely perplexed. It would be one of those, well, that's just, an anomaly. That just doesn't happen. We don't know why that happened. But I have not had a symptom since. When I tell you that every time I got my period, I was crying in the fetal position on the floor because of the pain, to go from that to 0, like I'm shocked when I get my period now. That's impossible. That's how it's been for 10 years, more than 10 years, because I started this journey well before we adopted our son. It's been more than that, maybe 12 years now, of 0 symptoms. The conventional community does not subscribe to that. They tell me that, or they told me that endo, and they probably told you that endometriosis is incurable, PCOS, incurable, all these OBGYN conditions, incurable. I don't believe that. I believe it's you empowering yourself to feel what's right for you. And then, of course, I can talk more about energy stuff, but this is that third principle. You alone can help heal yourself. Now, that means that you work on your own energy system and you bring in others who can support working on your energy system, your physical system, your emotions. But when those other people come into your space, you take what resonates and leave the rest. So important. It's like going on Dr. Google and reading some stuff that, I don't know, it doesn't totally make sense to me, so I'm just going to discard that. But this over here, this makes sense to me. Same thing. The exact same thing when you pull in people to support your healing journey. Okay, so keeping those 3 things in mind, I just want to talk about first what Caitlin had written in about her own struggle. According to the Anatomy of the Spirit book by Carolyn Mace that I'm looking at, that would be a chakra, the 4th chakra issue. The 4th chakra is the heart chakra. The organs, here's the physical thing, that are generally affected by the heart chakra. Side note, by the way, all the chakras are completely connected to one another. So you could have a heart chakra issue, but it's manifested in your foot. Okay, I'm just saying this is like general, very general. But here are the, in general, organs and things that are affected by a heart chakra issue. The heart and the circulatory system, the lungs, the shoulders and the arms, the ribs and the breasts, the diaphragm, and the thymus gland. Okay, that's the physical. The mental and emotional things that might come up with an imbalanced heart chakra. Themes related to this: love and hatred, resentment and bitterness, grief and anger, self-centeredness, loneliness and commitment, forgiveness and compassion, hope and trust. So you can kind of feel into what of those themes are what you're struggling with emotionally. The physical dysfunctions that you might see: congestive heart failure, heart attack, mitral valve prolapse, heart-related things, right? Lung-related things, asthma, bronchial pneumonia, upper back and shoulder tension. Oh, I happen to have shoulder issues right now. That could be what I'm dealing with. I'm going to do a heart chakra healing in a minute. And then, of course, large things like breast cancer. Now, I want to also address what you, listener, may be struggling with, because this is a fertility-related podcast, right? Fertility-focused. Let's look at the second chakra. Okay. Now, again, I do encourage you to go back and listen to the whole chakra series. And there was another interview that I did just 2 episodes ago, I believe, or maybe it was the last episode, about energy and chakra work around fertility. But let's look at specifically the second chakra. Okay. The second chakra, the organs that are affected, the sex organs, obviously, the large intestine, the lower vertebra, the pelvis, appendix, bladder, hip area. The mental and emotional issues related to this: blame and guilt, money and sex, power and control, creativity. I don't know what I just said there. Creativity, ethics, and honor in relationships. Some of the dysfunctions that you might see physically: chronic lower back pain, sciatica, OBGYN problems, sexual potency issues, urinary problems, and the like. So now, this is not, the chakra system is the energy system, right? So this is the energy that we're talking about that's residing in the body. There is also energy outside of the body. The aura that we talked about, the aura has its own layers. If you didn't know that already, now you do. You can Dr. Google that up, see what resonates with you. In the teaching that that I'm involved in now around clairvoyancy, they talk about each chakra within the body actually being related to and connected to the chakra ring around the body, the aura. Other teachings I have read are that the aura rings are actually their own energy system, separate from the ones that are located in the body. So again, see what resonates with you. But the energy system within and around your body are the chakra system. That's the energy, and you can absolutely affect that. Here's the really cool thing. You can affect change from top down or from down to the top. Okay, that means that if you have a physical issue, you can treat it physically. I had this tension in my shoulder I just mentioned. I used a massager on my shoulder just before recording this podcast. That's physical. Now, that has an emotional response and an energetic response. The emotional response is this self-compassion, this self-care, this love for myself that is manifest in that taking care of myself using that massager. The spiritual component, the chakra component, it's tied to the heart chakra, right? And so now the heart chakra may be more balanced. That is the energetic component. Or you can start from the energy down. I can start with a heart chakra healing that I just mentioned before. That affects my emotions. Now I feel more self-compassionate, more loving, more caring towards myself and potentially others. And then there's a physical component where I feel more relaxed in my shoulders. They're not up by my ears anymore, right? Now you can also affect the things at the same time. Imagine me doing an energy healing on my heart chakra and using that massager at the same time, right? Now you're affecting all of these components at the same time. How powerful is that? That is why I do not suggest going to only complementary medicine, only energy medicine. I believe it's so useful to tackle these things, or to tackle, I don't like that warrior theme, to lean into your healing journey from all avenues, physical, emotional, and spiritual. It doesn't mean you have to do all the things, because that creates more havoc sometimes. Pay attention to what feels right to you. Choose those things and then move forward. Okay. I hope that this has been helpful today. There's so much more to know about the connection between mind, body, and spirit. Head over to the miracleshappencommunity.com. miracleshappencommunity.com, and sign up for free to connect with all of us having these conversations. And pick up Carolyn Mace's book, Anatomy of the Spirit. It's a fantastic read, full of sciencey stuff, full of spiritual stuff, full of emotional stuff. It's so great, very educational. Also check out Bruce Lipton, Dr. Joe Dispenza. These are my resources. They're really great. And until next time, my friend, may you be physically, emotionally, and spiritually well.